Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Name's Aladdin. I'm into this YouTube video editing stuff. If you're into conspiracies, biblical prophecies, pretty much unexplained mysteries type of deal. That's one of my favorite shows, Unexplained Mysteries on Netflix. I dig that shit. I've seen shit with my naked eye that I couldn't even explain before. If you're one of those people like I am, whether it's UFOs, whether it's fucking USOs, any of that category, please subscribe to the channel, join the fam, and let's check it out. Right now we're gonna watch The Strangest Things Caught on Dash Cam. Let's check it out.
Dash cams are handy bits of kit that motorists use to capture potential crashes or incidents on the road. But that's not all these dashboard-mounted cameras can capture. From paranormal roadside sightings to freaky footage that'll get your heart racing, it's time to take a look at some of the most terrifying events ever caught on dash cams. Apocalypse Lane. California's wildfires make headlines almost every year, with plenty of videos showing what the blazes look like from afar. The area's dry temperatures turn almost all vegetation into kindling, and with difficult wind conditions, it takes just a single spark to set a huge driving blaze alight. But have you ever wondered what it's like to be caught right in the middle of one? Well, back in 2020, photojournalist Tyler Day caught this frighteningly fiery dashcam footage from inside the Hennessy wildfire. With the sky completely choked with smoke and everything around him engulfed in flames, it looks more like he's driving across the plains of hell rather than California. And at one heart-stopping moment, you can even hear the trees cracking and threatening to break as he drives under them. Despite the intense heat, Tyler kept his cool and got out unharmed. But his dashcam footage showed the hellish extent of the devastation that the fire wreaked over almost 318,000 acres of land. That's an area almost half the size of the state of Rhode Island. Whoa, I can almost feel the heat from here. What a lovely day. Now, if you thought driving through that wildfire was bad, just wait until you see what this next driver had to face head-on. Back in November 2019, they were driving across Mildura in Australia, an area that had been suffering from a dangerously dry 104-degree Fahrenheit heat. But that's when a series of high winds began sweeping over the land, dragging up the parched topsoil into a wide, rolling wall of intimidating red dust. Because this mammoth storm was approaching the city at a speedy 54 miles per hour, there was just no way to avoid it. So this driver put on his big boy pants and buckled up, then daringly drove straight into the belly of the beast. In just a matter of seconds, the glorious Australian sunshine was completely blocked out and the driver was plunged into pitch-black darkness. It then took them a staggering 10 minutes to drive through the bulk of it and back into the light. Who knew a little dust could be so dangerous? Okay, if you had to choose between steering through a frightening forest fire or driving into a dawn...
See, when I see storms, I've seen storms covered up the skies before. Man, I could only imagine going through that. Like that's crazy. And I bet you it's cool in the mud. Man.
Haunting dust storm, which one would you pick? For the dust storm, hit that like button, and for the forest fire, smash that subscribe button. But if you think you're brave enough to tackle the fire and the dust, then hit both. Now let's get back to even more freaky dashcam footage. Freakishly fast bushfires. Like Australia's huge walls of wind and sand weren't enough, lightning strikes can spice things up by adding fire into that chaotic mix. And that's something that the dashcams of South Australia's fire service caught during the frighteningly intense Pinery bushfire of 2015. As the fire trucks approached one of the worst hit areas, they suddenly came face to face with the front of the fiery blaze.
Get ahead of this fire. Get up there. On the back. Here it comes. The head's coming. Nick, slow down.
But the flames were traveling towards them at a rapid 56 miles per hour thanks to the high winds. Unable to escape, the crews had no choice but to stop immediately and go into burnover mode. This is where protective coverings are rolled down around the truck, the exterior is doused with water, and the teams hunker down inside. This way, the fire, quite literally, burns over the crew and equipment without setting them on fire. But as you're about to harrowingly hear over the radio, the truck in the front didn't have a water reserve. In just a few seconds, the fiery front swept right over them, and miraculously, both the crews made it out uninjured. I, on the other hand, think I just had a heart attack watching this unfold. Double tap. Have you ever heard the old saying that lightning never strikes the same place twice? Well, this dashcam footage from Novosibirsk in Russia disproves that in a flash or two. Whoa! Even though it was struck by not one, but two bolts of lightning, with each carrying up to 1 billion volts of electricity, that car didn't seem to take any damage. That's because the all-metal body of the car redirected the electricity into the ground. So despite Mother Nature's best efforts, no one here was hurt. In fact, the dashcam owners barely reacted. Man, if a lightning strike like that doesn't make them flinch, I'd hate to see what Russian tornadoes look like. The Media Men. Back in 2016, some old VHS-style dashcam footage surfaced on the web that was as confusing as it was terrifying. It starts with someone driving down a country road late at night when they turn a corner and suddenly, a man in a suit carrying a briefcase appears.
We know you're hovering over that button, but we need your help. We have a better button, we promise.
At first, it looks like he might be a hitchhiker, but then another suited man is caught in the high beams, and both of them wordlessly sprint away. Without warning, 9 similarly dressed men poke their heads up out of the long grass, herding together like frightened deer. What kind of weird workday is this? To complete this crazy picture, the driver captures a man further out lighting up a flare, while someone else strolls past the car creepily clad in a reindeer mask. Then the video cuts out, and the strangeness finally stops. With so much going on and no explanation, the freaky footage quickly went viral. But eventually, internet sleuths tracked the clip down to the band Radiohead's Instagram account. It was a vignette designed to promote their new album, which explained everything. After all, only someone who listens to Radiohead's strange, eclectic music could create something this weird. The Desert Witch. In 2013, rumors of a rise in black magic and witchcraft began haunting headlines around the Middle East. The deeply religious region still upholds laws that forbid occult practices, and it routinely punishes anyone deemed guilty of being a witch. But in 2014, dashcam footage from the Al-Mutla Desert over in Kuwait surfaced on the internet and shook the region to its core. Despite the warning revs of the car's engine, the horrifyingly hunched figure caught in the headlights doesn't call out. Instead, it just shambles forward, terrifying the driver inside. The clip ends with the car veering off, leaving the figure to shamble alone through the darkened desert. Now, watching this thing maliciously creep after the retreating car definitely got my adrenaline pumping, but I don't reckon this is real. For a start, if you were so afraid, why would you slowly back away from this nightmarish scene instead of speeding away immediately? And secondly, the channel it was first uploaded to, 18.7, later changed the video's description to claim that it had been staged. Looks like this was put together to troll the Middle East's fear of the paranormal. But could someone tell that to my pounding heart? The real Walking Dead. We've all seen some questionable things on the side of the road, whether it's something weird that's been thrown from a car, or someone strange lurking nearby. But they all pale in comparison to what YouTuber Alyssa Cross captured stumbling down her street back in 2016. The way the woman is dragging her feet and struggling to coordinate her limbs makes her look like some kind of zombie. Alyssa then claimed she stopped and tried to talk with the wandering woman, but she just became incredibly angry. Understandably scared, Alyssa sped off and left this wannabe zombie to waddle her own way home. Though it's still unclear what was making her act like that. Could she have been under the influence of some dubious substance? Or was she just rehearsing for a Walking Dead audition? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Almost roadkill. Police around the world are trained to deal with almost any dangerous situation, but back in 2018, one officer drove into a scene that definitely wasn't covered in basic training. At 1:46 a.m. on a Sunday, this full-sheer city cruiser was traveling down the road when the car in front swerved dramatically, narrowly missing a woman lying deathly still across the road. Scared she'd been hit, Sergeant Charlie Scott raced to her aid, but was absolutely stunned by what he found. She was alive and heavily intoxicated. So much so that when Sergeant Scott helped her up, she almost immediately fell backwards. It turns out she'd drunkenly driven her car into a ditch 200 yards away. But when she went to get help, she fell asleep in the middle of the road. While Sergeant Scott may have saved her from being scraped off the road with a spatula, he then arrested her for public intoxication and booked her into jail. Send in the clowns. There are idiots, there are losers, and then there are people who dress up as scary clowns and walk around in the dark when it's not Halloween. Back in 2016, this evil clown prank epidemic became a serious problem, with nearly all US states reporting scary sightings of evil clowns, as well as some attacks, which is why the Menasha Police Department in Wisconsin responded seriously to reports of people in clown masks chasing vehicles at
That reminds me of It. Y'all ever seen that movie? Man, that clown is creepy.
3 a.m. on October 11th, 2016. Dashcam footage captured the moment when police discovered a disturbingly dressed pair of clowns wandering around in the dark. Caught in the headlights, both the creeps stand stock still and only move when the police officers tell them to.
Why don't you guys come up to this barrier right here? Go ahead and put your butts against it.
Completely unfazed by their ridiculous appearance, the officers slowly moved them off to the side. But this freaky footage wasn't the worst part about this outing. The officers discovered one of the men under the masks had left his 4-year-old child at home alone to participate in the prank. In the end, these clowns were charged with child neglect. Not so funny now, is it? Garden City Ghost Car. We've seen some pretty freaky police dashcam footage, but there's one event caught on camera by the Garden City Police Department that even they can't explain. Around the year 2000, the cops were chasing the dangerous driver of this car, who tried to lose them by using some seriously reckless maneuvers. But finally, they managed to trap him into a dead end. Except when they turned down the road, all they could see was a pair of taillights disappearing through the other side of a fence. The fence appeared to be completely intact. So how on earth did that car get through to the other side? The cops were so stumped by it all that it simply became known as the Garden City Ghost Car. Good to know that that's the level of police deduction all those tax dollars pay for. personally, I think the answer might lie on this plane of reality. I mean, the fence looked like it was made of chicken wire, so if it wasn't attached to anything at the bottom, could the car have driven under it like a curtain? Or did it hit a hidden ramp and fly over the top? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments.
Looked like it left the road.
Woman in the woods. Police dashcams capture all kinds of strange and scary occurrences, but this next one might just be the crowning jewel of them all. According to the details on the dashcam, Officer Malik of Azusa Police Department, California, was recorded turning down a dark dirt track back in 2015 at around 3:40 a.m. But as Malik turns, he's suddenly confronted by a young woman standing ominously with her arms folded in front of a fire. She doesn't move at first, but all of a sudden, she throws out her arms and flings back her head as if she's been possessed. The camera can just make out some sort of strange light flickering in her mouth. But before the officer can investigate, the camera cuts out. Does this make anyone else feel like witchcraft might be real? Well, before you go grabbing your pitchforks and torches, there are some elements of this video that don't make sense. For a start, that supposed satellite position doesn't align with any map I can find. And secondly, no real police dash cams that we've seen so far have had that much information clogging up their screens. So this is probably just another prank. Although, I won't be driving down any dirt roads at night anytime soon, just to be safe. Out of the blue. Take a look at this still from a dashcam in Tampa, Florida. With that beautiful blue sky, it doesn't look like there could be anything bad on the horizon, right? Well, turn up your volume and put on your headphones and see if you can hear what's really going on. You ready? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, I can't resist a good jump scare. But seriously, where did that lightning strike come from? This incredible phenomenon is what's known as a bolt from the blue. It occurs when a lightning flash sparks out of the back end of a traveling thunderstorm, like the one that was 8 miles away from this Tampa home at the time. Strikes like this have been documented traveling more than 25 miles from the back of their mother storms, and because they're so unexpected, they're one of the most dangerous types of cloud-to-ground lightning known to man. This is why you should always wait around 30 minutes or more before going outside after a thunderstorm. Otherwise, you might end up like that poor palm tree. That's no dog. Have you ever had that spine-chilling feeling that something's lurking near you and it's getting closer, but you can't quite see what it is? Well, arachnophobes, look away now, because one officer from the Full Shear Police Department got the fright of his life when he discovered he'd been stalked by a gigantic spider. Oh God, just look at the size of it! Why isn't he running? Well, that might be because a tiny spider was actually crawling across the front of his cruiser's dashcam. So, despite the angle, there wasn't actually a spider the size of a dog creeping across the road. For a minute there, I thought my worst fears had sprouted 8 legs and come to life. Invasion by distraction. On December 22nd, 2017, a family was driving home from a day out in Beaumont, California. But as they were speeding along the freeway, something strange suddenly lit up the sky.
Oh, look at that, look at that. Is that a rocket? They shot up a rocket. Wow, look at that thing. That's a rocket, man.
In awe, they watched as the trail of what they believed to be a rocket got longer and longer. Suddenly, the mysterious streak in the sky broke off halfway through. It was completely captivating. But as they continued down the road, the streak only got stranger, ballooning out like some sort of space whale.
Wow.
Look at that! What is that?
Don't know. That's weird.
This is when people started to panic.
Look in the sky. What is that? Look outside in the sky.
You got it?
That's what we're saying.
Was it a UFO? Was it a nuke? Was it Santa doing an early Christmas test run of his sick new sleigh? Well, for all the confusion it caused, this was actually the launch of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. It was transporting 10 satellites into orbit from its launch pad on Vandenberg Air Force Base. And that broad, glowing plume was just a result of the rocket's exhaust gases being illuminated by the setting sun. Although, personally, I prefer the theory that we were being invaded by space whales. Offending officer. The only thing scarier than being pulled over by a police officer is being pulled over by someone insane enough to pretend to be a police officer. And unfortunately, that's what happened to the poor citizens of Tucson, Arizona back in 2017. Caught on the perpetrator's own dash cam, this idiotic imposter fitted flashing blue and red lights to his car and randomly started pulling people over. He approached their cars carrying a handheld scanner on his belt, a radio earpiece, and even an expandable baton, all while claiming to be an undercover law enforcement officer. He then asked people to step out of their vehicles, took their details, and even handcuffed a man. But on this occasion, the idiotic imposter couldn't find the keys and told his victim he needed to go to a police station to get the cuffs removed. Confused and suspicious, his victim called the real police, who worked to track this creepy criminal down and arrested him on charges of kidnapping and impersonating a law enforcement officer. They then discovered his dashcam footage, which showed he'd put at least 4 people through this traumatizing ordeal. But why was he doing this? Well, police suspect that he was trying to score illicit substances from his victims, like naughty salt and the devil's lettuce, if you get my meaning. And he might have gotten away with it if he hadn't tried to get clever with those cuffs. Ice-cold collision. Have you ever been driving along the road when all of a sudden a rock pings off your windscreen? The horrifying crack of those little rock shocks can really make you jump. But back in February of this year, one driver, who was traveling at around 80 miles per hour down a Tennessee highway, received much more than a small shock. Did you see that? A huge slab of ice flew off the top of that U-Haul truck and smashed the poor driver's windscreen. Fortunately, no one was injured, but it serves as a reminder to wipe all that excess ice and snow off your vehicle before you go speeding down any highways. Bus, baby. Bus drivers have to put up with some seriously strange sights and sounds from the public on a daily basis. Although, one bus driver in Vietnam caught something on his dashcam that wasn't as strange as it was scary. As the bus was traveling down a busy street back in February 2021, the driver spotted some sort of animal blocking the road. But as he got closer, he realized with a heart-stopping lurch that it wasn't an animal, but a baby. The poor kid was so confused that he ran across the road and was almost hit by another bus. Luckily, this driver immediately jumped out and rescued the infant before he was turned into a child-sized pancake. Which of these clips really made your heart race? And have you...
Alright, that's it for today, guys. Appreciate y'all for watching. Once again, please subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, hit like. Continue making videos like this. If y'all have any suggestions on what I should make, let me know. For now, deuces.